Okay, so good day, everyone, and my name is Ifeanyi Iwagwara Benedict. Welcome to another Excel session. Today, our guest speaker is going to be Bob, and he's going to be talking to us about Excel tips and tricks. So the Microsoft Excel data analysis learning community is being brought to you by UrBizEdge, and UrBizEdge is a registered Microsoft Excel consultant, financial modeling, business intelligence, data analyst, and enterprise solution firm in Nigeria. They specialize in making companies and high-value professionals being on top of that business data. So this is the upcoming training calendar brought to you by UrBizEdge. You can check it up on the website. I'll post the link in the chat box. So today our guest speaker is Bob. You can find Bob on LinkedIn. He's also the longest running MVP, Excel MVP since 1994 with more than or up to 23 MVP awards. He's been working with Microsoft Excel since version 0.99. He's also a beta tester for new versions of Excel since version 1.5 and was also asked by Microsoft for his input in new and the newer versions of Excel. Bob is also the author of This is Excel, This Isn't Excel, It's Magic, and also Excel Out of the Box, more Excel Out of the Box, and also more than 300 articles, all on different aspects of Excels. From the articles already from beginners to advanced tips to macros, shortcuts, and all of that. And it's also a frequent speaker at Excel users conference and meeting. Bob has also he also leads a 12 hours class in Excel called Excel in Depth and a 6-hour class in VBA. And his interests include guitar, magic, jokes, table tennis, and finding red box in Excels. So, good day, Bob. How are you?
What? You want me to take over now?
Yes, you can take over now.
Okay, let me share
You
my
can share your screen. Okay.
Do that. And can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great.
This is it. Excel. This is magic.
So welcome everybody.
Okay.
My name is Bob Umlas. Part of that slide was a little old. It was first of all from 1993, and it was 25 years that I've been an MVP. And my name is Bob Umlas, and a lot of the tips from this session are from this book, which you can get on Amazon.com. Type my last name in, and this book will show up among my other books. First thing I want to show you is a special Zoom thing. I have a range name called Welcome, and all that is a bunch of cells, but I'm going to change the Zoom setting to, let's say, 50%. Nothing special about that yet. And I have another range called TO, and I have another range called Excel, and one more called Tips and Tricks. What I'm going to show you is really cool. If you zoom 39% or less, then range names that are more than one cell wide, long, show up. So if I create a brand new name here called hello, it shows up. And these can overlap. You know, I can put this right in the middle of that, and it looks messy, but that's what you get. So it's a good thing when you have data from someone else, you can look it up. All right, I'm going to kind of start in a little bit of with some of the new features of Excel, a little bit of dynamic arrays. And there's a function in dynamic array called rand array. So this is a random array. The 9 says how many cells do I want in here. And then there's also a sequence function. Sequence 9 gives me an array of 1 to 9. I'm going to use these numbers to form a grid of 3 by 3 integers. So if I were to recalculate the spreadsheet right now, let's just click in here to recalculate. The numbers will all change because these are just random numbers. These are not, but these numbers all changed. So there's a function called sort by, and I'm doing a sort by of F1 pound sign. The F1 pound sign means see that range that's highlighted when I just click on F1? That's called the spill array. If I do 19 instead of 9, that's the spill array, the range in here. Let's go back to 9. Refer to the spill array of F1, I do F1 pound sign. I can even branch to it. I do F1 pound sign. Go to, and it highlights that. So I'm doing a sort by, and the sort by takes what am I sorting and by what am I sorting. So I'm sorting those integers 1 through 9 by the G1 pound sign, by this array, which are random numbers. And when I sort them, I get a range of random numbers. But to put them in a 3x3 grid, the sequence function of this number of rows, oops, I should spell it right. The number of rows, let's say 3, number of columns is 3, and it gives me that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I sorted, for the noise, I sorted this by this, and then I arranged it in a 3x3 sequence. So the index of all that arranged 3x3. This puts all those back together in one formula. The index of the sort by of the sequence 9, comma rand array 9, comma sequence 3x3. Whenever you need a 3x3 range of integers, there you go. A little bit more on dynamic arrays. This is available in Excel 365 or Office 365. This is pretty cool, but it looks a little like magic in here. Right now, this area is a filter of the data in A through F. And if I change Barnes to like Adams, you only see the Adams, but you notice that the total line moved as well. And if I put in Shasta, another one, it's even more. If I put in something that's not present, I just get the words no match. So let's put something in here like Romero, and let's examine what's going on here. Oops, not there. Here, Romero. So this is all done by one formula in Q3. It's a sort by again. But I'm sorting by things in column I and H, which are invisible. So let's back up and unhide the helper columns. And widen this one. So this is really the array that I'm using. When I click on here, I'm filtering. This is a regular filter, but as a dynamic array function. Excuse me, table 13 is this table to the left. So I'm filtering the whole table. Yes?
No, I was saying sorry, you coughed.
Okay. Oh, thanks. So I'm filtering table 13, which is to the left, by the agent, which is column A, equals to U1, which was that range off to the right, Romero. And if it's not found, you see the word no match. And this picks up everything from here. So this is what's being shown on the right in that same sequence. So it looks like a duplicate. The other magic goes like this. I put the word total in here, and on the right, I'm just doing a sum of the offset of N3 all the way down for 1,000 rows, a range of 1,000 by 1. So that's the sum. These numbers is the sequence. I didn't do a sequence of 7. I did sequence of the number of rows in I3 pound sign. I3 pound sign is this. Actually, I3 pound sign is that. So the number of rows in there is 7. That's like doing a sequence of 7. So I have the numbers 1 through 7. And here I have the number of rows plus 1. So I have 8. So if I sort by this, it'll put the total at the bottom. That's part of the magic. So in here, the sort by I3 pound sign, that's all this, through I2. Now, it's rare that you have a backwards reference, row 3 to row 2. But it's this, I want to include the word total, and sort it by the numbers in H3 to H3 pound sign, which is the numbers 1 through 7, through H2. It actually doesn't like it if I do I2 to I3 pound sign, which I think you should do. The last piece of magic down here, you know, the total now goes at the bottom. How it turns blue is just conditional formatting. So if I go to Home, Conditional Format, Manage the Rules, if $3, Now, why Q3? Because that's what was selected when I did this. I went from Q3 to V31, far enough down. But I'm sorry, I said Q$3, but it says $Q3. I want the Q to be always column Q, always look in column Q. When it says total, make it blue. That's all there is to that. That's a lot to it, but this is being recorded. You probably have access to it. Let's go back to a little not so advanced stuff, but it's cool tips. This page contains a page setup for the page setup demo. So I'm going to look at page setup by going, if I go to, I don't want to print, yeah, print preview and print. I click on this and you see that it's landscape. It has a center header, row and column headings, and also has the time and date at the bottom right. I'm in the US, so the time is month, day, year. I mean, the date is month, day, year. Okay, so that's nothing special about that. But supposing that's what I want on another sheet. Right now, this sheet has nothing special in it. It's portrait, no header, footer, whatever. If I want to copy the page setup from here to here, from this one to the one that needs it, I can hold down the Shift key and click on this next tab, or the Control key to click on it. The Shift would be select all those in between. It puts it in group mode. You can see it at the top, which means that whatever I do to one tab will be done to all the tabs in the group. So now if I visit page setup, this dialog launcher, page layout, page setup, just click OK. Don't even bother looking. And we're done. I'm going to right mouse click on this and do ungroup sheets. Go here and let's take another look at it. Copied everything. Row and column headers. It's landscape, my center header, time and date. This is the time that I'm in, 11 a.m. Okay, here are some Control plus Shift plus these keys will change a number to this format. So I'm going to select all that and do Control Shift 1, and you can see it puts 2 decimal places in it. Control Shift 2 gives me a time, 3 gives me a date, 4 gives me a currency, 5 gives me percent, 6 gives me to scientific notation. The one that makes it back to normal is this character called the tilde on the US keyboard is to the left of the number 1. So you make everything general by that. Control Shift 7 puts a light border around the range. If I select that, Control Shift 7, I have borders. And Control Shift minus removes borders. I'll just select all that, Control Shift minus, borders are gone. Control Shift 8 and 9 don't do anything special, so I'm not including them. This is nothing special at all, just not 4 number 1s. It has the word Bob in the title, and we'll look at it later. That's what something special comes later. Custom list contents. If I click this, which I will, obviously, I click it, and I get this user form showing with the months to it. I've seen many people in the Initialize event of the user form fill this one by one, January, February, March, etc. But I want to show you, let me know if you can see this screen. Is the form. Yes, you can see it?
We can't see it. No, we can't see it.
Yes, you cannot see it.
No, we cannot see it, sir.
All right, let me change the share. No, how do I change the what I'm sharing? I don't know how to do that. All right. You know what? I'll just copy it into this worksheet. Hold on a second. So it would be right there. Find macro, edit, and I'll just copy the text in here. Okay, this is the Initialize event. The list box of the form, nothing special in that, but the list is get custom list contents. Sorry?
It's still not showing, actually.
I'm still not sharing? All right, hold on a second. Let me get out of this, I think.
It should.
Hold on. Trying to make this bigger. Sorry for that. Let's try this. Share. And I do my whole screen. How about now? Can you see this?
Oh, I think it's still loading. Well, can anybody else see the screen? Well, I can't see the screen.
You cannot see the screen?
No, we can't see the screen.
It says I'm presenting.
Okay, I think it's loading, maybe. It's just reception. Okay, yes, we can see the screen. Yes, we can see it.
Okay, and you can see this screen, yes?
Yes, we can see the boss with a click me with the macros.
Okay, great. So the only thing in the click me event is for the user, before the user form shows that this is the form, I have a initialize event, and the initialize says that the list in that list box gets its value from the fourth one of get custom list contents. When I go to File, Options, Advanced, near the bottom, Edit Custom Lists, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can pick up this list from here. If I did get custom list contents 2, it would be the days of the week. I don't want to spend much time on that because there's a lot more cool things to show in the time we have. Okay, Autosum. You all know about the Autosum at the end of the tool home, as well as in the left of the formulas ribbon. So the task here is to put the totals here and put the totals here. Most people would do something like this. I would click on the Autosum or press Control equals. Oops. And then fill it down, maybe double click. And then click here and do an Autosum. I double clicked it and it puts it in and drag to the right. And that's the task. So I'm going to undo all that to show you a quicker way. If I select all this, including the extra row and extra column, a single click on the Autosum does the whole job. Each one of these is the cells to the left, and each of these is the cells above. Here, I have a bunch of just numbers, and every so often I total them up with the sum function. Then some numbers, and then total them up, etc. And it goes down to row, down to row 133, and then I need the grand total. How do you get the grand total? What I've seen people do is this one. Hope you can see that. Equals, equals, and then they come in here and they do, well, let's do it here. Equal, click, and then scroll, and click, and scroll, and I'm sorry, no, I have to type this and a plus sign, scroll, this and a plus sign, scroll, this and a plus sign. So I've seen that where it's actually been 2 rows long of the formula bar. You know, there's that much data that had 1 over 2 rows. It's it works, but it's certainly error prone. So that's what this one says. There's another way to do it using a sum if function, and I'll make that bigger so you can see it. I'm going to do equals the text of this cell shows you what the formula is in that cell, and then I can make that bigger so it's easy to see. So that this one says if A1 to A133 equals subtotal, pick up the values from B1 to B133. The one below it says that uses a sum product. The sum product of A1 to A133 equaling subtotal, which is a bunch of trues and falses, and sum product requires numeric entries only, so trues and falses would not work. So I pass them to the n function. N just changes true to 1, false to 0. Numbers stay numbers. You may have seen something like this using minus minus instead of n. That also works. And since B1 to B133 is numeric, this works and produces that same value. Here's another one that's very similar to the first one that I say stay away from, except it just does a sum with the commas. What's cool about that, though, and it's easy to enter, is this is what you get, the last one, if you do alt equals. Winner in the shortest formula and the easiest to calculate, I think, is this, which is unexpected. Just to add everything up. Sum of B1 through B133, oops, not colon, B133, and divide it by 2. And that works. But why does that work? It's a very simple formula. It works because this bunch totals 456. That's what this is telling me, the next one. So this is 456, but so is this. So I have two 456s in here. Same with this. This totals 720. That's what this is saying. That's 720. So I have this is 720 and 720. So I have that twice. I have each thing in there twice. So just add them all up, divide by 2. Let's take a look at another thing with totals. If I want to get the total and the average and the max, most people would just select here. You know, I'm just going to do these 3 and then fill it down. So select here and use the sum tool. Yep, that's right. If I try that with the average, on the sum tool is also average. It includes the total. That's not very good. I don't want the total. So I'd have to edit this. And the same with the max, I'd have to edit it. However, there's a kind of cool trick here. That's what this is about. If I select these instead of where I want the answer, then do the average, it puts it in the right place. Now it happens to select the total, but the formula is just the average of B2 to F2. Select this again. I want to do max. Go to max, puts it in the right place. And again, selects the total. A little inconvenient, but so what? I now select these 3, double click the fill handle, and I have all the answers I'm looking for. A few miscellaneous things. You can type a row column in the name box. That is, I can type in here row 3, column 5, and it selects row 3, column 5. Row 1000, column 1000. I'm in ALL 1000. ALL obviously is column 1000. But aside from that, you can also do functions in here without the equal sign. So I'm going to do the offset. Offset of A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll explain that in a moment. But it selects that. And I'm going to color code that so we can refer to it. The offset of A1, for the number 2 is 2 rows down. So A1 offset by 2, it's there. Then the 3 is 3 columns over, 1, 2, 3. So that's the top left of that. And the 4 and 5 is the shape, the number of rows and the number of columns. Okay, here I have the sum of A1 colon above. I'll show you the explanation of above in a moment. And here I have sum of H1 to H4. So if I insert a row here, which I just did that by Control plus, this formula hasn't changed, and this formula hasn't changed, H1 to H4. But you would think that if I, since this one is just those cells, if I put something in the middle, like there, it's not going to count it. But look, it does. It actually changed. Well, made a liar out of me. Let me start from the beginning. First time I've seen that not work. I go here, type a 5, enter. Oh, come on. This
Of that error.
What?
The error sign, that danger sign, the green stuff here.
Formula omits adjacent cells, yes. But every time I've shown this in the past, the formula actually changed to H5 to include that. Anyway, if I put a 5 here, it includes it because of the word above. And let me show you above. If I'm over here and I go to above, I'm currently in cell G10. I go to above, I'm in G9. So above is the cell above. What would happen if I do it here? Go to above. Wrapped around to the bottom, which is pretty cool. So how is above defined? Let's look at formulas, name manager, above. It's exclamation point E8. Notice I'm in E9. Exclamation point E8. If I just did E8, let's try doing that, equals E8. When I click on the check mark, it appends the name of the tab that I'm on, so that the word above is only effective on miscellany, and it's a relative reference to the cell above, except no, I'm in E8 now, I'd have to make this E7. The relative reference to the cell above. If I make that OK and close it, if I was over here and I did go to above, in K6, you would think I should go to K5, and it does, but on this miscellany tab. Okay, 4. Hold on. I was in K6, go to above, goes to K4. So the definition is not what I thought. Above, all right, I'm in K4 and the definition is miscellaneous K2. So it goes up 2 rows. So the way to do it is equals and start off with an exclamation point, which makes it universal to the whole workbook. And now I'm in K4, I would make it K3. And above always refers to the cell above. Equals above. Okay. Text boxes. This is a text box, and what's cool about it is it's in 3 columns. Have you ever seen it other than
No.
1 column? So I'm going to control 1 to bring up, oops, wait a minute. Here, I don't want to be inside it. Okay, control 1 brings up this on the text options. This one, notice at the bottom, wrap text and shape, which it usually does for a text box, but here's columns. Let's make it 2 columns. And the space between columns, 1/2 inch. Make it 4 columns. Just cool to know. Few people know that one. All right. Where are we? Text box. Okay, how to. This one is pretty instructive. Here's the task. In this list, remove everything before the colon. So that this should be left with just do this. This should be left with just do that, etc. So they all have 1 colon in it. So I'll show you 4 ways to do it. I may show you a 5th way because it's brand new stuff coming out. That'll do this even easier. But by a formula, one thing I can do with formula is find out where is that colon. So I can do find a colon in A3. Gives me the number 6. Now that I know that, I want to start with the rest of it from the 8th character, 2 beyond that, because it's always colon on space. So I want to take the mid of A3, where the colon is +2 and an arbitrarily long find, and I can double click and I get everything's just perfect. Except I want to remove it, so I have to copy and paste special values on top of this. Here's a simple way, or an interesting way, if you haven't seen this before, to copy paste special values. When I'm at the border of the selection, the cursor changes shape to have 4 arrows. I can click and drag that, move it away. If I right mouse click and drag it away, when I let go, I'm given all sorts of options. Copy here as values only. I want to copy it to D. I want it to A, so I'm going to cancel. And I'm just going to right mouse click and drag over to the left, copy as values only, and I'm done. This is value because it's no longer a colon, so I just get rid of it. That's one way. Text to columns also works. I'm doing a bunch of undos. I select all this. I do data. Text to columns is here. It's delimited by a colon. I have to put it in. Too bad I can't put colon space, but it's colon. Click on finish, and there it is on the right. Problem with this is, even after I drag this back to the left to get rid of what I don't want, every one of these starts with a leading space because there was colon space. So now I have to replace the leading space with a blank. I can do that with the trim function. Trim of this. So we're back to using. And then drag that on top. And then get rid of this. So there's a lot to do with text to columns, but that works. Undo, undo, undo. And good. Flash fill. Flash fill is pretty cool. I'm going to just type what I want. Do this as the first one. And then I can go to on the home tab. It's in a few places. Under the fill, there's this flash fill, which I can also do Control E. And it just does the job. It understands what I want. Then again, I would copy and paste special values to the left, or just move, copy on top of it. My favorite, though, oops, back to my favorite, is replace. What am I replacing? Well, Control H is replace. I'm replacing a colon and a space. I'm sorry, an asterisk, colon and a space. An asterisk is a wildcard saying anything up to the colon and the space, replace it with nothing. Replace all, done. Except I didn't select the bottom one, but you get the idea. There's a brand new function. Actually, it's 14, but I'm not going to cover those. But brand new called text before, text after, and text split. DE text before. Come on, X. That's the text. The delimiter is colon space. There's more, but I'm not going to get into that. And no, I want the text after, don't I? Duh. Text after. And that works great as well. Okay. I'm going to skip the next one. Skip the next two. So here's another one that had the word Bob in it. It was all ones, now it's all fours. We'll review that in a moment. Distribute. If I wanted to evenly put numbers in here so that each one adds up and winds up at 554, I could use this formula, which says C15 minus C1 divided by the row of C15 minus the row of C1. And that works fine. If I do equals the one above plus always that, and I'm going to do an F4 to fix that in. That's the one above plus that. I drag it all the way down. And if I go one more, I get, oops, what happened here? That changed. Start from here, go all the way down to there. 30 point, all right, instead of that, let's do plus 30.78571. Do it that way. Drag that down. Drag down one more. That's because of rounding, because this is much bigger than 78571. There's more decimal places, but you kind of see it. In any case, you don't want to remember that formula. There's an easy way to do it. Excel knows. I select them both, And on the Home tab, I go to Fill, and I do Series. And it knows that number. That's the same number. So if I do that, it fills it just fine. If this were higher, of course, that's going to change. If I make that selection, I just want to show you fill series. That number 61 is the same number. All right. This one is kind of cool. I like this one a lot because when Excel first came out with dynamic arrays, I actually had a dream, literally dreamt this solution and tested it out, and I was floored that it worked. I take off the leading apostrophe and just hit the Enter key, and I have in here the files that are in the current directory. Like if I click Open and Browse, those one, let's back up. Make a layer out of me. My personal, let's open the current folder. Oh, I see what happened. All right. Let me look at another folder completely, one that has lots of stuff in it. All right, Excel, there's lots of files in here. And just cancel. Come back, re-enter this. There we go. These are all the files that were in that folder. 10-hour PT course.xlsm. Let's go back to Open, Browse. Oh, interesting. It keeps going back to that one. All right. So it's the current folder. Let's browse Excel and go to there. These 10-hour PT course, 23/8/17, whatever that is. So when the folder changes, the data changes. So what in the world is the definition of FL? We'll get to that in a second. Here's FLX, similar, except this is only Excel files. So here's a WAV file, which doesn't show up, just Excel files. And here's one to get tab, sorry, the tab names in this workbook. These are the tabs in this workbook. And not only that, it's alphabetized. So let's see how you can do all this. I'm going to do undo, undo, undo. Column D and E are hidden. I'll unhide them. These are the definitions. FL is defined as the transpose of files. Files, I'm going to just show that. I go to formulas, name manager, FL. It's just transpose of files. That's exactly what's there. Files is an old function from the Excel 4 macros days. Files is not legitimate in a worksheet. If I just even files, I got a name. Oh no, files. I must have files defined. All right, but I'm transposing it because as you just saw, it goes off to the right. Transpose of files with the wildcard, Excel wildcard. So I just got Excel files. The tab names is very involved and confusing, but there's a function called get.workbook1, and it includes all the tabs, but it also has a right bracket in it. So I'm finding the right bracket, which is the workbook name, and I'm transposing that. I'm getting the mid of that. After the workbook name, I get the tab names. Transpose it to make it vertical, and then there's a sort function in Excel. I'm going to move on, given the time. This one is interesting, maybe useful, maybe useless. I took a camera tool picture of A1 to F16 that I was here. There's a camera tool. In order to get it, you have to modify the quick access toolbar. Do a right mouse click, customize the quick access toolbar, and camera is not usually one of these, so I have to go to all commands, and then camera will be in someplace. There's the camera. I already have it, so I'm not going to do it again, but it allows you to take a screenshot and move it around. Matter of fact, if I move it around here, I see a mirror imaging. I keep on moving it, I get this weird effect. And here's the weird thing. If I change that to a 1, only the first image changed. That's a 1, 2, 3. And my question is, where in the world is that 2 actually being stored? And I discovered this a long time ago. Microsoft didn't have an answer. The guy who created this left the company. But you can use this if I have this area and this area that I wanted to print on one page. I could take a camera tool of this area. Let's do this, because that's the area. I can use click on camera tool and develop it underneath that, set this as the print area, and it's all on one page.
Oh.
Okay. Entering totals. I want to enter a total for January, February, March, etc. I don't want the percent of the quarter total as a total. But if I select that, of course, I would get those totals. I don't want it. I make this selection first, and the fill handle recognizes the pattern. So if I just go out 2 more or 3 more, 2 more, it did the pattern. Some of the ones above plus a blank. So one would think that I can keep on going. I'll just go out this far, but there's another problem here. It started doing the total percent of the quarter total, because after January and percent, Feb percent, March percent, it had a quarter total. It throws off the pattern. Then it comes back to the pattern, April percent, May percent. So here's what you can do. You can drag out till the pattern stops, and then start again from here, because now I have this pattern, total, nothing, total, nothing, total, nothing, total. The pattern again will be total, nothing, and it works. So I drag out to as far as it goes, and everything's perfect. Got to do the fill handle in 2 steps. Changing the row height. Here I have some data that's all in the accounting department, and then the personnel department and the IS department. What I want to do is just make this taller and make this taller. Now, for 52 rows and only 3 different departments, do it manually. But if there were a couple of thousand rows and 100 different departments, or something like that, that would be a pretty tedious task. So we can do it with a formula. This department is the first one that might be a new department, because obviously this is the first department. This one might be new. So I'm going to put a test in here. I'm going to do an if statement. If the cell to the left is not equal to, that's less than greater than, the cell to the left and up. So if they're not equal, then I'm going to put in some helper value, and I'll show 1 and an X. And I'll tell you why in a moment. If I do a go to special, when I click on formulas, I have 4 types of formulas. I can select just numbers or text or logicals or errors. I put in this formula a number and a text. I can choose anything. I can choose the logicals and errors. But by doing that, when I double click, you notice I have the ones at the places where the row height changes, where I want the row height to change. So now I do a go to special, and I want to pick the formulas that return numbers. So I take off text. I can leave those on because they're not going to be there. I created the formula. Click OK, and all the way down column B, even though this is short, I have those selected. So now I can go to Format, Row Height, and maybe change it from 15 to 30. Click OK. And now I can get rid of column B because it did its job. And if I preview this, you can see that there's a visual space between each department. Okay, double spacing. Here I have lots of stuff, obviously. It goes down to row 850. That's the bottom. And the task is to physically put a new line or a blank line between each row. In other words, I want to do this, and I want to do this, etc. Now, that would take a long time for 850 rows. And even a macro would take a little while, a little churning. I can do this whole thing in 7 seconds, but that wouldn't be very instructive. So I will show you the formula that works. Actually, there's no formula. I'm going to put in the number 1. I want to number everything. If I, most people put in a 1 and a 2 because the fill handle will just repeat the numbers 1. So if I do 1 and a 2 and select them both, then I get the increasing. But here's another trick. If I click on the 1 and a blank cell to the right and then fill, it does the job as well. So I can double click that. I've numbered everything. I'm now going to copy everything. Control down arrow, down, and paste. And I have the numbers 1 through 850 by themselves. Next to this number 1 is nothing. Next to this number 2 is nothing. Next to the number 1 at the top says lots of stuff 1. What if I just sort by this column? Data, sort, I am done. Except I can get rid of column E, because next to this number 1 was that blank stuff at the bottom, and it sorted it right into place, which is pretty cool. Here's one more Bob. I'm not going to do this one. Here's some miscellaneous where I'll take a look at this green cell. This currently says, with a quote in front of it, the sum of single quote single quote, wildcard, Bob, wildcard, single quote, bang, A1 to B2. That's the sum of anything that has a Bob in it in the tab name. Watch what happens when I get rid of the leading quote. When I hit enter, what's not significant is the answer. Look what I changed the formula to this. The sum of Bob later 1, A1 to B2, and for later Bob A1 to B2, and another Bob A1 to B2. It's pretty clever, I think. Okay, I'm sure you know the format painter, but did you know you can use the format painter on objects? So if I click on this arrow and I use the format painter, which I have in my QAT, and click on this arrow, voila. Now it won't change a shape. If I have a circle as a shape, it won't change that to an arrow, but it'll put in a red dotted border. Okay, I'm sure you all use comments, now called notes. But have you ever seen just hovering get a note like that? Or that? I want to show you how to create creative comments, notes. On the review tab, I will not a comment has to do with a conversation with someone who's sharing the workbook. But I'm going to do a note, new note. It's the old comment. The cursor is blinking inside of it. I need to have that not happen, so I click on the border. Then I do Control 1. And under colors and lines, under color, there's a fill effects. In fill effects, I can do a gradient, I can do texture, I can do a pattern, or I can bring in a picture. I'll select the picture. Let's go to Bing image search. I'll search Bing for, all right, beach will be fine. And then insert it. Insert it. Doesn't want to insert it. That's the first time that happened. Oh, there we go. And then click OK, and then click OK. And that's a comment that when I hover over it, I get that image. So you probably want to change the font color to something more visible. To change the shape, you need something in the quick access toolbar. So if this is in the way, no, it isn't. Okay, this, let me select that. Select the border. All right, show notes. Show hide notes. I need to have that showing. Click on the border. And then I go to this, which says change shape. No, that's quick print. Here's change shape. Change shape. So let's just pick a that just to or whatever. And that's how you do it. I'm going to show all notes. Now I want to, let's go into my whole workbook. Okay. Not what I wanted to do. Show all notes. I don't want to show all notes. Well, whatever. You get the idea. So let me move on. Okay. Also with the format painter, if I click it and I drag across here, I get that same format. But if I wanted to keep the format painter alive, just double click it. And then I can click and click and click and it's still alive. And to turn it off, I hit the escape key. Okay, let me do these mailing labels because I think these are pretty cool. Are you guys still with me? You can still see me, right? Yes?
Yes, you can
Yes.
see you. Yes, you can see you.
There's groups of addresses. John Jones at the JJ address, etc. And I want to sort this group by last name. As I would want Jane Addams to be first. Then this guy, then this guy, then this guy. How can you sort those? I mean, if I click on this and just do data sort, I just get a big mess. Doesn't help at all. Well, here's what I came up with. I can insert a row at the top, so I can put in a formula here. I just want to make sure it's bold and the same. Okay, the formula I'm putting in here is equals if the cell above and to the left is blank. I want to pick up the name to the left. Otherwise, I want to pick up the name that's above, which doesn't make sense yet. So this says John Jones. When I fill that down, one cell, I get John Jones again, because this says the cell to the left and above, which is A2, if it's blank, which it isn't, therefore pick up the cell above, B2. If I drag this all the way down, I have these names in blocks. And I want one further down just for the pattern, keep the pattern alive. Click anywhere in column B, sort, get rid of column B, get rid of row 1. I'm done. They're sorted.
That's cool.
Mailing labels 2. I want to make these name 1, address 1, city, state, zip 1, and then a space. I'll just get rid of this. I move it over. I'll do it here. So you might try, okay, equals A1, and then below it equals B1, and then below it equals C1. And I want to keep that pattern, so I'm going to select those and drag down. Except what happened to name 2, 3, and 4, and name 6, 7, and 8? Because A1, 4 rows down, is A5. I want here to be A2. How do you do that? Well, that's what I'm here for. If equals A1, I want to do XA1. The X is an arbitrary character, and it's not a formula. XB1, XC1. If I now make this selection and drag down, I'm not going to go all the way. Look, that's exactly kind of what I want, except I don't want an X. I want an equal. So I can replace X is all. Perfect. Obviously, I didn't go down far enough, but still, that's the technique. One more, other mailing labels. I want these, which is in the format we kind of pulled out from before, to go across. This is A1, A2, A3, A5, A6, A7. If I drag this down, I get a worse mess. So the technique comes into play again here. I do X1, XA1, XA2, XA3, XA5, XA7. When I drag this down, I get this perfect. Then the X to an equals. Got it. And then just using sequence, the index of A, that's all of this, but the sequence I want, 160 divided by 4 is because it goes down to row 160. So I could have said sequence 40. I want 40 rows of 4 columns. If I just take this out, I have lots more I could show, but we only have 4 more minutes. So let me get back here and stop sharing.
Is there a reason why you use XA1, or was
No,
it just?
I could have used any character. Could have done PA1 or .A1, something I can just replace later. I just don't want the equals.
Okay. All right. So are there any questions? I don't think there's any questions. People are just asking for the videos, maybe to catch up later, mostly.
Am I still sharing? Because there's nothing to share.
Oh no, you're not sharing anymore. You're not sharing anymore.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, so are there any questions? Or does anybody want to say anything?
I see something that says connect with Bob through LinkedIn, but you can also go regular email. It's bobumlas@hotmail.com. You can do that if you'd like.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was okay to share your email, so I didn't share it.
I'll put it in.
Okay, $100. Yes, the recording will be available. Yes, the recording will be available on the YouTube channel. So you just have to subscribe to the YouTube channel and you should get the recording. But if you check the YouTube channel tomorrow, you should see the recording. Okay, since is it? Okay, so there are actually no questions on my part. I'll have to go and watch it because a lot of stuff were having a little bit very fast. So I'll have to watch it to maybe get the hang of it because it did a lot of tricks and that I'll need to go and learn all about. Oh, so yes.
It would have gone slower if it wasn't recorded.
Oh, yes. If the good thing about the recording is so if someone's doing something, the person is doing it fast because of maybe time elements and maybe it's the ease how easy you do something. But okay, so the recording, anybody could go online, you could watch the recording, you can also pause it and maybe understand maybe the steps or the reason why the person or break down the formula to make it more easier for you. So the recording will always help for anybody that can't get it, they can always watch the recording to understand everything. Yes, and yes, the session was actually very, very insightful. So you have a comment.
Is there a question there?
Okay. No, not a question. It's just compliment. A lot of thank you for your session.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's LinkedIn. I posted his LinkedIn handle, so you could just search for his name on LinkedIn. Oh, yeah. So Bob, I was going through your profile. Are you like the first MVP? Technically, right? Because you're the longest running MVP.
Longest running, yes.
Yes.
I'm scanning through the comments now.
Oh, okay. Oh, no questions. Just people asking about maybe watching the session and compliments. Your session was actually very, very insightful and it's always something new to learn. Like I learned most of the tricks, I didn't know them. The only trick that I was familiar with was the camera. But beside that, the other ones I actually didn't personally know them. So don't just always say honor whenever you on our invitation.
Well, thanks for inviting me to do this.
You said I can't hear you anymore. Hello?
I'm muted? No?
No, you're not muted now.
Okay. I just said thanks for inviting me to lead the session.
Yeah, welcome. Okay. So you can connect with Bob on LinkedIn, and our next session is in 1 hour time. The Power BI session. I would share the link so you can join the session. The session starts by 6 p.m. Okay, so Bob, someone's asking if they could get the presentation.
Someone's asking what?
If they could get the presentation.
Well, this was recorded, right?
Yeah, it was recorded.
So they should ask you for the recording because I didn't record it.
No, I think they mean the Excel file.
Well, the file. Email me at request the file. I will send you the file.
Okay, I'll do that.
Again, bobumlas@hotmail.com. Okay.
Okay.
Gotta go. Bye, guys.
Goodbye.